Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 18th, 2024 Town Council meeting. Just as a reminder, exits are at the back of the room and to the side over here. If there's emergency, please do not use the elevator. And if you can silence cell phones. And on that, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilor Grassi, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call. Councilor Chircello.
Good evening.
Councilor Webb.
Present.
Councilor Foote.
Good evening.
Councilor Ganesi.
Good evening.
Good evening from the chair. Councilors McGeckern and Flood are both engaged elsewhere this evening and send their apologies for missing. We'll move to public forum. Is there a motion to open public forum?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right. The floor is yours. If anyone would like to come up, just please remember to state your name and address for the record.
Seeing none rise online at this time, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you.
No one's coming up to the front, so I'll make a motion to close.
All right, motion to close in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, moving on. We just have one item under the consent agenda, 2457, to approve the minutes from the June 4th, 2024 meeting. Motion to accept.
I'll make a motion that we pass that.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Chircello, seconded by Councilor Foote. On the motion, Councilor Chircello?
Yes.
Councilor Webb?
Yes.
Councilor Foote?
Yes.
Councilor Ganesi?
I'll abstain. I was not here.
Okay. Motion passes 401. Chairman's report. I don't really have much to report. I know that I do want to just say update that we had talked at a previous meeting to let folks know that we were talking about veterans credits, disabled veterans credits, and talking about that, and that is still in process. I know we had spoken to some people saying we hope to talk about it at one of our June meetings, but we are still working on that and hope to have something for July. That is all I have, so I will turn it over to the town administrator.
Okay, thank you. On our finance, we have about 2 weeks left in the fiscal year. All our revenue sources have exceeded the FY24 estimates. And as customary, we return to the council at the July meeting for some transfers and some review of some expenses. And we may be in a position to make a contribution to the winter maintenance fund this year.
Nice.
But again, that remains to be seen. A reminder to the public is that DPW is managing culvert replacements in the vicinity of 66 Franklin Street and 28 Sunset Ave. Those have begun and will be completed in the early part of July. Local residents will have access to the properties, however, there will be no through traffic, so I appreciate everybody can take alternate routes. Legislative update, 2 bills of import to Derry, the wastewater surcharge. We're waiting the governor's signature for that bill, which passed. Also passed was a $6.5 million appropriation to begin engineering on phase 2 of the Southern New Hampshire Regional Water Interconnection Program. Exit 4A project, we thought that the bids would be due last week, and the deadline has been extended out to July 11th, so hopefully we'll have information on that at your July 16th meeting. Regarding elections, we are working with Pinkerton in preparation for the September 10th primary. If you may recall, legislature talked about moving the primary date, and so it took them so long to get through that process that Pinkerton had to set their schedule, and they're planning on having school that day. However, we're working with Headmaster Powers on parking and potentially some shuttle plans, and so we'll have that more information on that by the August meeting for distribution to the public. And I think what you've had in your packet also is you should have a list of all the departmental goals we went through our review process this year for your information. And a last item is, as you know, our Director of Planning is retiring in September. And during the NH Planners Conference last week, he was awarded the Jeff Taylor Lifetime Achievement Award for his 40 years of service to the town of Derry and the planning profession. So congrats to George. That's all I had at this point.
Thank you. Yes, congratulations to George on that. Well-deserved, for sure. All right, we have two public hearings this evening. The first is item 2453, which is Resolution 2024-031, to authorize a fee adjustment and supplemental appropriation for the transfer station. Public Works Director Mike Fowler presenting.
Good evening. As everybody's aware, we have a pretty busy transfer station. One of the services that we're proud to offer for residents and contractors is a construction and demolition debris. There are not a lot of facilities, municipal facilities, that take construction and demolition debris, and obviously we have a fairly large population here in Derry that takes advantage of that for various needs, whether or not they're improving their house or cleaning a house out. So we have that available, and it's a great service that we've only continued to enhance. The way the service basically works is we accept all of the waste when people go over the scale. Currently, they're charged 9 cents a pound if they are a Derry resident, 11 cents a pound if it's a contractor or an out-of-state resident, or out-of-town resident, sorry. We have a fee that we pay with a contractor, ERCO or LL&S out of Salem and Epping. They have multiple facilities, and we had a cost that had been going up 2%, 3% every year that we have to pay. So it's not obviously 100% profit, if you will, for us. We have a cost to dispose of it after we handle it and load it. So the price going into this year's budget was $98 per ton. When we had looked ahead in our crystal ball, I had estimated $105 per ton. We had made a couple of attempts to try to work an extension of the current agreement, which it was 3 years, that was going up to July 1, 2024. We were unsuccessful in doing that, so we went out to bid in May, just a couple of days after the budget had been approved. Much to our surprise, they were the only bidder. There's not a lot of facilities around here that they don't own, the nearest being Devons, Mass, that they don't own. We had reached out to that facility and they chose not to bid the service. So what we are faced with is about a 40% increase in our cost to dispose. So basically the fee went from $98 to $135 a ton, and that becomes effective as of July 1st, 2024. So this is the new contract. It's a 3-year contract, and what will happen after that in subsequent years, it will go up to $141.75 and $148.83. So you can imagine our surprise and our concern about covering the costs. So one of the things that we had discussed through Dave and looked at some of the other peer communities, we still believe we are at a midpoint relative to some of the other communities within the state, Dover, Hooksett, other locales that have the similar service. So what we're proposing this evening to cover that cost increase, because we still want to provide the service to the residents, is to increase both the resident rate from 9 cents a pound to 11 cents a pound, and then increase the non-resident rate from 11 cents a pound to 13 cents a pound. So that would have an impact of offsetting the increase in the expenditures for fiscal 25 that are projected as a result of the new rate. Our expenditures would increase by about $99,000 in the upcoming fiscal year, and if we don't cover that with user fee increases, we'll start to eat in, and you know, we're going to be looking for additional ways to cut. So what we're asking to do is stay ahead of the curve, and council approve a supplemental appropriation and also approve the fee increases that you see in front of you. So those are the two items that we're looking to do tonight in the public hearing. I'm here to answer any questions.
Madam Chair, I move to open public hearing.
Second.
All right, a motion to open public hearing by Councilor Foote, second by Councilor Chiaritello. On the motion, Councilor Chiaritello?
Yes.
Councilor Webb?
Yes.
Councilor Foote?
Yes.
Councilor, I'm
Yes.
getting really thrown by what's happening over here. Councilor Granessi? And chair votes yes. Public hearing is now open if anyone would like to speak.
Seeing none rise online, Madam Chair.
Move to close.
All right.
Second.
Motion to close by Counselor Foot, second by Counselor Granessi. On the motion, Counselor Cherichello?
Yes.
Counselor Webb?
Yes.
Counselor Foot?
Yes.
Counselor Granessi?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Public hearing is closed. Any questions from counselors?
I have a quick question. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mike, it's covering the increase, but are we, the taxpayers subsidizing any piece of that at all?
No, this is basically a one-for-one cost recovery. So basically, if you just bring trash and recyclables,
Yeah.
there's no additional cost to the taxpayers. This is for those that are choosing
People
to
that, the
utilize
people that
the
use
service.
it are paying for it fully,
That is
no
correct.
subsidy?
Yep.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Madam Chair, if there's no other further comments, I'd like to make a motion. I move that the town council adopt resolution 2024-31 as follows. To authorize a fee adjustment and a supplemental appropriation at the transfer station. Whereas the town operates a transfer station which accepts construction and demolition debris from the town residents and from those outside the community. And whereas the town continually reevaluates its fee structure to ensure that the fees charged are consistent with market conditions and are adequate to fund operational costs and capital investments. And whereas the town recently received proposals to process this waste, which will significantly increase costs to the town, and whereas a fee adjustment is necessary to ensure that this program does not become a burden upon the Derry taxpayer. Now therefore be it resolved in council that the Derry Town Council pursuant to RSA 41:9A hereby approves a fee adjustment for construction and demolition debris disposal to 11 cents per pound for Derry residents and 13 cents per pound for all other construction and demolition debris generators. Further, to authorize a supplemental appropriation of $99,000 to the FY25 transfer station budget to cover additional costs resulting from the new disposal contract. This resolution shall take effect July 1, 2024.
Second.
Okay, motion by Counselor Granessi, second by Counselor Cherichello. On the motion, Counselor Cherichello?
Yes.
Counselor Webb?
Yes.
Counselor Foot?
Yes.
Counselor Granessi?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Second public hearing is Resolution 2024-034 to accept New Hampshire Department of Transportation funds for the Exit 4A project. Fire Chief Sean Haggart presenting.
Good evening, councilors.
Name.
I have Fire Marshal Dave Eastman here with me to assist if needed. As part of the 4A Contract B project, I'm here to seek the approval of unanticipated revenues in the amount to not exceed $26,000 for the purpose of relocating town-owned aerial fire alarm facilities. The aerial fire alarm facilities are also known as a municipal fire alarm system, the 100 ml system, or the master box system, and some other names you may have heard from them. If the request is approved tonight as the New Hampshire DOT Contract B proceeds, a vendor would be responsible for relocating the municipal wire and routing them away from the affected areas of the 4A project. The project scope includes what's called our East Circuit connection. It involves Shenito to Scopey Pond Road, Tinkham Ave to the area of Fire Eye, B Street to Franklin Street. For us to complete this in-house, it would require at least a two-person team and at least 72 hours to do so. During that time, the two-person team would be pulled away from their normally assigned duties and would have to be backfilled with overtime. So this is an opportunity for us to complete the project without incurring those costs internally. Any questions?
Second.
Motion to open public hearing. I think I heard a second down there. On the motion, Counselor Cherichello?
Yes.
Counselor Webb?
Yes.
Counselor Foot?
Yes.
Counselor Granessi?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Public hearing is now open, if anyone would like to speak.
Seeing none, rise online, Madam Chair.
Second.
All right, motion to close public hearing, and second on the motion, Counselor Cherichello.
Yes.
Counselor Webb.
Yes.
Counselor Foot.
Yes.
Counselor Granessi.
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Here, public hearing is closed. Counselors, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Me either. All right, someone like to?
How about now, Richard? Thank you. Madam Chair, I move to adopt Resolution 2024-034 to accept New Hampshire Department of Transportation funds for Exit 4A project. Whereas Section 9.15 of the Town Charter authorizes the Town Council to accept monies from the state, federal, or other government units. Whereas the town has been a longstanding partner in the Exit 4A project. And whereas the impending construction of the 4A corridor along Folsom Road requires resolution of conflicts with the town's fire alarm facilities. And whereas New Hampshire DOT has authorized the town to contract with any entity, to an entity to resolve these conflicts to be paid by New Hampshire DOT. Now therefore be it resolved in council that the town administrator is hereby authorized to accept and expend such funds from the New Hampshire Department of Transportation in an amount not to exceed $26,000 and to enter into agreements with New Hampshire DOT as may be necessary to finalize receipts of this funding. This resolution take effect immediately upon its passage.
Second.
All right, motion by Counselor Foote, second by Counselor Granessi. On the motion, Counselor Chercello?
Yes.
Counselor Webb?
Yes.
Counselor Foote?
Yes.
Counselor Granessi?
Yes.
And chair votes yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you both.
Excellent. Thank you for your support.
All right, next up, we just have old business ordinance 2024-001 to amend Chapter 20 of the General Code Animals. Police Chief George Fioli presenting.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just to start this conversation off, you recall we had a public hearing on this matter at the last meeting, and there were some questions from councils about how the program is managed and administered. So the chief and I sat down with the chairperson and Council Foote to discuss those, and the proposal before you has minor textual changes, except there's one change is that per the state statute, the town clerk has to collect the fees, not the tax collector, so that's been changed. The other significant takeaways is the councils believe there may be some appetite to expand our services to other domestic animals, which we're not requesting you consider today. What our thought process was, if there's any ideas along those lines, bring them back to us and we'll have the chief evaluate them. And those recommendations, we return with a recommendation from us in 3 basic buckets. One is that we can implement the service with available resources. The second bucket would be we can implement the service, would require additional services. The third bucket would be is that we would recommend the council not consider implementing those services, and here's the reasons why. So for tonight, we're asking you to adopt the changes as recommended at the original public hearing 2 weeks ago, with the exception that the town clerk and not the tax collector will be collecting the fees pursuant to state statute.
Thank you. Chief Field, did you have anything else you wanted to add from last time?
Thank you, Dave,
Yeah.
for that introduction, and with that, I'll happy to address any questions you might have about the ordinance recommendations that I made earlier.
I would just like to thank you for, we had a good conversation. My questions were all answered as well, and those updates made, so thank you very much for that and having to come back tonight.
Yep.
Would you like to? Oh.
All right, so Madam Chair, I move that the Town Council adopt ordinance 2024-001 as follows. Amend Chapter 20 of the General Code regarding animals, whereas Section 5.1 of the Town Charter designates the Town Council as the governing and legislative body of the town. In pursuant to Section 6.1, the Town Council shall legislate by ordinance, and whereas the Police Department recently reviewed Chapter 20 of the General Code, whereas the chapter requires updating to conform with the Town Charter and state statutes. Now therefore, the Town of Derry ordains Chapter 20 is hereby amended to conform with the Town Charter and state statutes as set forth below. The ordinance shall take effect 30 days after its adoption.
All right, motion by Councilor Granessi, second by Councilor Foote. On the motion, Councilor Chercello?
Yes.
Councilor Webb?
Yes.
Councilor Foote?
Yes.
Councilor Granessi?
Yes.
And chair votes yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor.
And as Dave kind of already said, we will continue that conversation and come back as needed.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, new business. Resolution 2024-035 to accept a road easement on Jefferson Street. Public Works Director Mike Fowler presenting.
Good evening. I have 3 easement requests for the town council to accept and authorize the town administrator to sign on behalf of the town. So essentially, I'll give you kind of a general introduction, and then that'll speed us along for the final 2. But planning board process, we have sometimes subdivisions that are created off of existing roads. Many of those roads are narrow. They were built, back 100 years ago. In some of those areas, when we have an opportunity to upgrade those in conjunction with the development, whether or not it's site distance, utilities that need to be put in, drainage, we work with the planning board and the development team to come up with solutions that will be better for those various intrusions. In this case here on 28 Jefferson Street, there was a subdivision. It's a dead-end street at the end. There's no turnaround, so it makes it very difficult in its current situation for plows, perhaps even for some emergency vehicles. We had an opportunity to address this deficiency by installation of turnaround up there. It's not a full cul-de-sac, but it's enough that will allow our plow trucks and other emergency vehicles to make a turn. So we've worked with the developer on the geometry of that, and the Department of Public Works has endorsed the geometry, and we would recommend acceptance of this easement, which has been granted. There's a plot plan that will accompany this, and then with signature of the easement that will fortify that at the Registry of Deeds. It will be recorded once it has been signed. So that's all I have.
Are there any questions on this first one?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Mike, it's just, my packet says the plan has been recorded.
I believe it has been. The other two I know definitely have been recorded. I've double-checked that. But basically, you need to have that plan recorded so that you can refer the deed when it gets recorded at the registry.
I'm just, are we, in this case, we're not putting the cart, the horse?
No.
Okay.
No.
And it's just that development that's being affected, or giving the easement to the town?
Right, it's a two-lot frontage subdivision at the end of Jefferson Street up on the left.
And it's new construction. So
New construction.
No one's in there yet.
Nope.
And the owner's given permission for that,
Right.
obviously. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I move to adopt Resolution 2024-035 to accept an easement on Jefferson Street, whereas RSA 674:40 and 674:40-A authorize the town council to accept streets as shown on a subdivision plan approved by the planning board. And whereas the Derry Planning Board approved a frontage subdivision in the vicinity of 28 Jefferson Street, and whereas the planning board further approved an easement in favor of the town, which will enhance the town's ability to perform winter maintenance and enhance public safety. And whereas the town council is now requested to approve this easement, now therefore be it resolved in council, the town administrator is hereby authorized to accept an easement in the vicinity of 28 Jefferson Street from Corner Post Restorations LLC. This resolution take effect immediately upon its passage.
Second.
All right, motion by Counselor Foote, second by Counselor Granessi. On the motion, Counselor Cherichello?
Yes.
Counselor Webb?
Yes.
Counselor Foote?
Yes.
Counselor Granessi?
Yes.
And Chair votes yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next up is Resolution 2024-036 to accept a road easement on Stark Road.
All right, so same situation. We have a frontage subdivision off of being parceled off a larger parent lot with frontage on Stark Road. This situation is merely just a widening to accommodate drainage and site distance in the vicinity of 14 Stark Road. There is a plan that's already registered, D44213 at the Registry of Deeds, and the Public Works Department has worked with the development team, and we are recommending approval of this acceptance of easement.
Any questions?
Just a quick one. Just to clarify, we didn't pay any money, no money, right?
Nope, these are all granted at no cost by the grantor.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt Resolution 2024-036 to accept an easement on Stark Road, whereas RSA 674:40 and 674:40-A authorize the town council to accept streets as shown in a subdivision plan approved by the planning board, and whereas the Derry Planning Board approved a frontage subdivision in the vicinity of 14 Stark Road, and whereas the planning board further approved an easement in favor of the town, which will enhance the town's ability to perform winter maintenance and improve site distance, and whereas the town council is now requested to approve this easement, now therefore be resolved in council that the town administrator is hereby authorized to accept an easement in the vicinity of 14 Stark Road from the Marjorie A. Palmer Revocable Trust of 2007. This resolution will take effect immediately upon its passage.
Second.
All right, motion by Counselor Foot, seconded by Counselor Granessi. On the motion, Counselor Chercello?
Yes.
Counselor Webb?
Yes.
Counselor Foot?
Yes.
Counselor Granessi?
Yes.
And chair votes yes, motion passes 5-0. And last but not least, Resolution 2024-037, to accept a road easement on English Range Road.
All right, and so third and final easement acceptance this evening. There are 3 parcels, frontage lots on English Range Road, 51, 53, and 55 English Range Road. As part of the development, the town asked for certain areas to be improved for drainage and also for site distance. The development team was willing to work with us on that. So we've arrived at the proposed easement that has been presented for town council this evening. Public Works has reviewed it, and we are endorsing acceptance of this easement.
Questions?
I just have one.
Sure.
Just out of curiosity, on these road easements, who pays for the actual road work or the drainage work that's being done? Is that the developer?
That would be the developer. More than likely what happens would be once this goes forward and they start their subdivision work, it's going to be, they'll be doing driveways, and part of the plan that's been accepted will have, you know, a lot of times it's just a roadside ditch that has to be opened up. In that area, a lot of the roadside drainage just falls off to the side. So we want to improve that, widen it out a little bit just so that we have better site distance. But that's all going to be covered by the developer.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt Resolution 2024-037 to accept an easement on English Range Road. Whereas RSA 674-40 and 674:40-A authorizes town council to accept streets as shown on a subdivision plan approved by the planning board. And whereas the Derry Planning Board approved a frontage subdivision in the vicinity of 51, 53, and 55 English Range Road, and whereas the planning board further approved an easement in favor of the town, which will enhance the town's ability to perform winter maintenance and improve site distance. And whereas the town council is now requested to approve this easement, now therefore be it resolved in council, the town administrator is hereby authorized to accept an easement in the vicinity of 51, 53, and 55 English Range Road from Liberty Woods LLC. This resolution take effect immediately upon its passage.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Foot, second by Counselor Granessi. On the motion, Counselor Chercello?
Yes.
Counselor Webb?
Yes.
Counselor Foot?
Yes.
Counselor Granessi?
Yes.
And chair votes yes, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
All right, Counselor comments or liaison reports. Counselor Foot?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to give some progress. A few weeks, month or two ago, I gave an update that I was partaking in a project with some of the veterans from the VFW in cleaning out some of the headstones and monuments up at the Forest Hill Cemetery. Thank you to those, Council Spencer and Council Granessi and Owen from Cable TV, and see Tony Bruno back there. He's our in-house historian up there. A lot of the locations of the plots. To date, we've probably cleaned and undone probably 500 or 600 markers so far. We got a lot more to go. So if anyone's interested, there is a contact form on the website. I'm going to defer it to Owen real quick if he has a minute to, can you update how to get that on the website?
Sure. What we can do is, just to make it easy, I think for this impromptu description, we can make sure there's a link anywhere you'd like that can be shared, and it's actually part of the DerryCAM website, and I think it's called Vets Cleanup. So we'll get that out. That was currently in proof, but now that it's approved,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and we'll make that public. We'll get that out far and wide on social media and our other channels as well.
Great, thank
And
you.
if possible, we can even see about linking it up on the town website.
Thank you. And just so ultimately what we want to do is continue to clean up these markers. First of all, we want to identify those ones that have been either submerged under the grass and whatnot, and at some point hopefully raise them up to level with the grass. And then for every Memorial Day, be able to properly identify and give patronage to those veterans who've gone before us. And then at some point, we're looking into potentially putting on some digital format to make it easier to identify their locations. So if anyone's interested in helping out, this is going to be an ongoing project. It's a lot of sweat equity, but it's a labor of love, so please reach out if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? that's all we've got. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, motion to adjourn and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Good evening, everyone.